Namaste everyone. Let's study about hydrogen. Hydrogen, we know it is the first element in the periodic table. Hydrogen, the symbol is H, atomic number 1, mass number 1. The complete symbol of hydrogen can be written as H11. Atomic number equal to 1, mass number is equal to 1. The number of protons present in hydrogen atom equal to 1. Electron also equal to 1. And neutron is equal to, we know neutron number will be equal to mass number minus atomic number. That is 1 minus 1 equal to 0. Means hydrogen atom contains no neutron, right? It contains 1 proton, 1 electron and no neutron. Hydrogen is the only atom which contains no neutron in it. And we know it is the lightest element in the periodic table. It contains only 1 proton inside the nucleus and 1 electron outside the nucleus. And we also know the electronic configuration. Electronic configuration of hydrogen atom is only 1 electron that is present in 1s atomic orbital. 1s 1 is the electronic configuration of hydrogen atom. The position of hydrogen in the periodic table. Where do you see hydrogen in the periodic table? The position of hydrogen in the periodic table was a topic of great discussion in the past. Hydrogen with the 1s1 configuration, we know in periodic table the elements are arranged on the basis of their atomic number or on the basis of their electronic configuration. We find elements with a similar electronic configuration we find in same group. So when we compare the electronic configuration of hydrogen with the other elements in the periodic table, we see that the electronic configuration of hydrogen resembles that of alkali metal. Alkali metals belongs to group 1. Means electronic configuration of group 1. Group 1 elements are called alkali metals. Which are the alkali metals? Lithium family members. Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. We know that group 1 elements, alkali metals also have general valential electronic configuration ns1. Only one valence electron, just like a hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atom also 1s1 configuration. Group 1 elements similar configuration. That means hydrogen and the group 1 elements have similar electronic configuration. And they show similarity in some of the properties also. Hydrogen form oxides, sulfides and halides just like alkali metals. For example, hydrogen oxide is H2O. The oxide of alkali metals also have similar formula Li2O, Na2O, etc. Similarly, both hydrogen and alkali metals form similar sulfides, similar halides. But at the same time, there are some dissimilarities also. Hydrogen is different from group 1 elements. We know that all group 1 elements are metals. But hydrogen is not metal. Moreover, the ionization enthalpy. The ionization enthalpy of alkali metals is very low because they have only one valence electron. They have strong tendency to lose that electron. Their ionization enthalpy value is very low. But hydrogen, the ionization enthalpy value is higher. So hydrogen cannot be included in group 1 because it is different from alkali metals in some of the properties. Then when we compare this electronic configuration of hydrogen with the other elements in the periodic table, we see that hydrogen has strong tendency to gain one electron and form hydride ion. If it gains one more electron, it can attain the stability of noble gas configuration. 1s2 configuration, that is helium configuration. K-shell is complete, doublet configuration. So similar configuration we see in group 17 also. Group 17 elements known as halogens, halogen family. The halogens are fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Halogens have general outer electronic configuration ns2, nt5. How many valence electron? 7 valence electron. They too have strong tendency to gain one more electron. If they gain one more electron, they become stable. They get the stability of noble gas configuration, octet electronic configuration. That means both hydrogen and halogens are one electron short of stable noble gas configuration. So hydrogen resemble group 17 elements also in their electronic configuration. And hydrogen exists as diatomic molecule. Hydrogen exists as diatomic molecule, that is dihydrogen, H2 molecule, just like a halogen. Halogens also exist as diatomic molecule, F2, Cl2, Br2, I2. Means, and the ionization enthalpy of hydrogen atom and the halogens are comparable. Means ionization enthalpy of hydrogen is similar to or closer to the ionization enthalpy of halogens. But at the same time, here also hydrogen shows some dissimilarities from halogens. All halogens are very reactive, but hydrogen is not that reactive. So hydrogen resemble both the group 1 elements and group 17 elements, but hydrogen cannot be included in group 1 and 17 because its behavior is different from these elements in some of the properties. Means the behavior of hydrogen is unique. Hence, hydrogen is given a special position in the periodic table, that is in the exact middle of the periodic table. We see hydrogen in a separate box because of its unique behavior. Okay, and now we have to discuss the occurrence of hydrogen. We know that hydrogen, the percentage abundance of hydrogen in the Earth's atmosphere is very less. In the Earth's atmosphere, there is only very small amount of dihydrogen present, that is 0.15% by mass of the Earth's atmosphere contain hydrogen. But you know, it is the most abundant element in the universe. Giant planets Jupiter and Saturn contain mostly hydrogen. Solar atmosphere, the major element present in the solar atmosphere is hydrogen. So in the universe, total mass, 70% of total mass of the universe is hydrogen. So hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. Hydrogen is also present in Earth's crust in combined form, as in the form of water, mineral salts like hydrogen carbonate, hydrogen sulfate, etc. It's also present in living system, in the body of plants and animals, in the form of carbohydrate, proteins, fats, nucleic acids. All these contain hydrogen atom. Now the isotopes of hydrogen. Hydrogen exists in 3 isotopic forms. There are 3 isotopes. They are known as protium, deuterium, tritium. Protium is denoted by the letter P, deuterium capital D, tritium capital T. These are the isotopes of hydrogen. We know isotopes are atoms of same element. So all the 3 are atoms of hydrogen. They have same atomic number. Atomic number is the same, that is 1. But mass is different. Mass number is different. For protium, mass number 1, deuterium 2, tritium 3. So isotopes are atoms of same element having same atomic number but mass number different. Let's find out the number of protons, electrons and neutrons present in this. Atomic number same for the 3 isotopes. That means number of proton is the same number of proton, 1 proton. Atomic number 1, hence 1 proton. Electron number is also same, 1. But neutron number is different. We know how to calculate the neutron number, mass number minus atomic number. For protium, there is no neutron, 0 neutron, 1 minus 1, 0. Here deuterium contains 1 neutron. Tritium 3 minus 1, 2 neutrons are present. So these are the isotopes of hydrogen. They have same number of proton, same number of electron, but different number of neutrons. Isotopes, atoms of same element with different number of neutrons. Now out of the three isotopes, the most abundant or the most stable form of hydrogen is protium. Means hydrogen exists mainly in the form of protium. That is 99% abundance of protium is 99.985% of hydrogen exists as protium. The percentage abundance of deuterium and tritium is very less. Deuterium is 0.0156% only, deuterium. Tritium is the radioactive isotope. Since it is radioactive, its percentage abundance is very little, very little. That is 10 raised to minus 15% only. The isotopes of hydrogen. Now let's discuss the preparation of hydrogen. First, laboratory preparation. How to prepare dihydrogen in the lab. We can prepare dihydrogen in a test tube by treating zinc metal with hydrochloric acid. Here we get zinc chloride and hydrogen gas. It can also be prepared by reacting zinc metal with a base, NaOH, sodium hydroxide. Here we get a salt of sodium and zinc, that is sodium zincate. Na2ZnO2, sodium zincate and hydrogen. So this is the laboratory method to prepare dihydrogen. Treating zinc metal with a HCl or treating zinc metal with a base NaOH. Now the commercial production of dihydrogen. Dihydrogen can be made on a large scale by different methods. First one, electrolysis of acidified water. When electricity is passed through water. Pure water is a bad conductor of electricity. So in order to make it more conducting, we add some acid into it. So acidified water, when we pass electricity using platinum electrode, what happens? Platinum electrode, the H2O molecule decomposes to give H2 gas and O2 gas. H2 gas will be collected in one electrode, oxygen gas in the other electrode. Here we get hydrogen gas collected at the cathode and oxygen gas at the anode. Now high purity hydrogen can be made by using barium hydroxide instead of water. Means electrolysis of barium hydroxide gives dihydrogen in 99.95% pure form. Then another method is again electrolysis of brine solution. What is brine solution? Aqueous sodium chloride solution. This is called brine solution. When on electrolysis, that is when electricity is passed through aqueous sodium chloride solution, we get hydrogen gas, chlorine gas and sodium hydroxide. Hydrogen will be collected in the cathode, chlorine gas will be liberated at the anode, NaOH will be formed in the electrolyte. Actually, this is the manufacturing process of NaOH, sodium hydroxide. Here, hydrogen is obtained as a byproduct. Now we have another method to prepare dihydrogen on a large scale, that is reaction of steam. Reaction of steam on hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbons, we know the general formula of an alkane. Hydrocarbon means which contain carbon and hydrogen only. Alkanes, if you take the general formula CnH2n plus 2, this is an alkane. For example, if you take the simplest alkane, that is CH4, methane. This is methane. Reaction of steam on methane at a temperature of 1270 Kelvin using nickel catalyst. We get a mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. So this is another method to prepare dihydrogen. Here instead of hydrocarbon we can also use coke or coal. Coal also can be used. That is, instead of methane, if you use coal, coal is a form of carbon. When steel react with the coal, same reaction, we get a carbon monoxide and a hydrogen. 1270 Kelvin. See this mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen gases is called water gas. Carbon monoxide hydrogen mixture is called water gas. This water gas mixture, this is used for the synthesis of methanol and a large number of other organic compounds. Hence, this is also known as synthesis gas. This water gas is also known as synthesis gas, or shortened and called syn gas. Why it is called synthesis gas or syn gas? Because this mixture, carbon monoxide hydrogen mixture, is used for the synthesis of a large number of organic compounds. Here see the second reaction, reaction of steam on coal to produce water gas. This reaction we can see coal is getting converted to a mixture of gases. So this reaction is also known as coal gasification reaction. Converting coal into water gas using steam. Coal gasification reaction. And in this reaction, this carbon monoxide found in this reaction can be further made to react with steam. What happens? Carbon monoxide is further oxidized to carbon dioxide and hydrogen. This reaction is called water gas shift reaction. So these are the methods used for the large scale production of hydrogen. Next, let us discuss the properties of dihydrogen. Physical properties. Physical properties means the color, odor, etc. Dihydrogen, we know it's a colorless gas, odorless gas, tasteless gas. It's a combustible gas. It burns with a pop sound. It burns with a blue flame, a pale blue flame. And it is a very light gas. Now we move to the chemical properties. Chemical properties of dihydrogen. The chemical property dihydrogen, we know it is represented as H2. It is formed by sharing 2 electrons between 2 hydrogen atoms. The chemical reactivity of dihydrogen depends on the bond strength or the bond dissociation enthalpy. This HH bond strength is very high. That means this HH single bond is very strong. So the energy needed to break this HH single bond is very high. What do we call that amount of energy? Amount of energy needed to break a bond of a particular type is called bond dissociation enthalpy. It is denoted as delta HB or delta H dissociation. Bond dissociation enthalpy of dihydrogen is very high. Actually, the highest for a single bond between two atoms of any element. That means to break this HH single bond, we need to give large amount of energy. Hence, dihydrogen is chemically inert at room temperature. Why? At a room temperature, this much energy is not available to break the HH single bond. Hence, dihydrogen is chemically inert. But if you provide sufficiently high temperature, that is, if you apply a temperature approximately 2000 Kelvin, the percentage dissociation of dihydrogen is very small, that is 0.081% only. That means even at this temperature, dihydrogen is chemically inert, not reactive. But if you provide a high temperature around 5000 Kelvin, the percentage dissociation of dihydrogen becomes 95.5%. That means dihydrogen can be dissociated. The HH bond breaks easily at a high temperature around 5000 Kelvin. So dihydrogen can be made reactive by providing high temperature. So at a high temperature, dihydrogen is reactive. At a room temperature, it is inert, non-reactive. And in chemical reaction, dihydrogen take part in different chemical reaction in three ways. In some reaction, hydrogen, we know the electronic configuration 1s1. The first way, dihydrogen try to lose that one electron. If the hydrogen atom lose one electron, it would form H plus ion. In some other reaction, what happens? Hydrogen gain one more electron, and form hydride ion. And in some other reaction, what happens? Hydrogen share its electron, electron with the one electron of another atom and form covalent copones. Let us see the different reactions of dihydrogen. Dihydrogen react with oxygen and form H2O, water. Dihydrogen react with nitrogen and form ammonia. This reaction needs the presence of a catalyst ion and a pressure of 200 atmosphere and a temperature of 673 Kelvin. This is very important process. This reaction is used in the manufacture of ammonia in Haber process. In Haber process is the manufacturing process of ammonia. Dihydrogen is used. Dihydrogen react with metals, reactive metals like alkali metal. Let M be an alkali metal. M can be lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, any alkali metal. Dihydrogen react with the alkali metals and form metal hydrides. For example, if it is lithium, lithium hydride, or sodium, sodium hydride, etc. When it reacts with the metals, what happens? Hydrogen gain one electron and form H minus ion. Metal lose electron. Now the reaction of dihydrogen with metal ions. Dihydrogen react with less reactive metal ions in aqueous solution. For example, palladium 2 plus ion. Palladium, Pd, 2 plus ion. This palladium 2 plus ion is reduced to palladium atom, palladium metal, and hydrogen itself undergoing oxidation to H plus ion. That is, palladium 2 plus is reduced to, this is reduction, reduced to palladium, and dihydrogen is oxidized to, this is oxidation, oxidized to H plus ion. Here dihydrogen acts as the reducing agent, reductant. Dihydrogen reduces palladium salt to palladium. In a similar way, dihydrogen react with the metal oxides of the formula MXOY. Here also reduction takes place. Dihydrogen acts as the reducing agent. The metal ion will be oxidized to metal plus H2O. Dihydrogen is oxidized to H2O. Now, reaction of dihydrogen with the organic compounds. Organic compounds like unsaturated compounds. Organic compounds are of different type. You might have studied in your class 10. Saturated compounds are there. Unsaturated compounds are there. Saturated compounds means compounds containing carbon-carbon single bond only. Unsaturated compounds means which contain carbon-carbon double bond or carbon-carbon triple bond containing compounds are called unsaturated compound. When dihydrogen reacts with an unsaturated compound which contains a double bond, C double bond C. Here in a double bond we know one bond is sigma bond, the other one is pi, and we also studied sigma bond is stronger, pi bond is weaker. So when hydrogen reacts with a double bonded carbon or double bonded compound, this is an unsaturated compound. What happens? The weaker pi bond breaks and hydrogen is added to these double bonded compound. So what do we get the product? The C double bond C converted to C single bond C compound, single bonded compound, and hydrogen is added to these carbon. That means this is a saturated compound. Means unsaturated compounds gets converted to saturated compound on adding hydrogen in the presence of catalysts like nickel, in the presence of nickel catalyst. So this reaction involves addition of hydrogen, means H2 molecule is added to this carbon-carbon bond. This reaction are called catalytic hydrogenation because the reaction takes place in the presence of a catalyst. This is called catalytic hydrogenation. Hydrogenation means addition of hydrogen into a double bond or triple bond. This reaction is very important because this reaction is used for production of commercial importance. For example, this reaction is used in the manufacture of Vanaspati ghee. Vanaspati ghee is made from vegetable oils. Vegetable oils like soybean oil, cottonseed oil, which contain unsaturated compound. These contain unsaturated compounds. These are hydrogenated, means hydrogen is added in the presence of nickel catalyst. What happens? These gets converted to Vanaspati ghee or Vanaspati fat. These contain saturated compounds. So this Vanaspati ghee is actually the hydrogenated vegetable oils. For this reaction, dihydrogen is used. Now another reaction of dihydrogen, that is dihydrogen when combines with the carbon monoxide and an alkene. Alkene means a double bonded compound. Alkenes are also known as olefin. This reaction is called hydroformylation reaction. We get the product as here this double bond breaks, hydrogen will be added and we get CH2 single bond CH2 CH double bond O. Means we get an aldehyde. This is an aldehyde group. To this aldehyde, further addition of an H2 molecule to this aldehyde gives, here this double bond breaks and hydrogen is added to this carbon and this oxygen, and we get the final product as RCH2, CH2 single bond CH2, CH2 single bond OH. This is an alcohol. We get alcohol. This reaction is called hydroformylation reaction. So these are some of the chemical reactions of dihydrogen. Now let us discuss a few uses of dihydrogen. Dihydrogen, some of the uses we already discussed. Dihydrogen is used in the manufacture of ammonia in Haber process. Ammonia is further used for the manufacture of ammonium salts as fertilizers. Dihydrogen is used in the manufacture of vanaspati ghee by hydrogenation of vegetable oils. Dihydrogen is also used in the manufacture of organic compounds like methyl alcohol. Methyl alcohol is an industrially important compound. It is made from synthesis gas, that is water gas, carbon monoxide hydrogen mixture. Then react in the presence of cobalt catalyst at a high temperature, we get methyl alcohol or methanol. This is an industrially important compound. Then dihydrogen is also used in the manufacture of metal hydrides. Dihydrogen is used as a reducing agent in the extraction of metals in metallurgy. And also dihydrogen is used as a fuel in rocket research. Moreover, atomic hydrogen and oxyhydrogen torches. Uses atomic hydrogen. This is used for these oxyhydrogen flames in the these torches are used for welding purposes. Atomic hydrogen is allowed to recombine on a surface to be welded. That reaction is highly exothermic, produce large amount of heat, and that can be used for cutting and welding purposes. Another important use of hydrogen is in fuel cells. Fuel cells are devices used to generate electricity. Fuel cells convert the energy of combustion of hydrogen. Hydrogen is a combustible gas, we know. The energy of combustion of dihydrogen can be converted directly to electrical energy. And these fuel cells have more advantages over our traditional fossil fuels, because fossil fuels on combustion produce large amount of pollutants. But dihydrogen, when we use in fuel cell, the only byproduct there formed is water. That is combustion of dihydrogen. That means reaction of dihydrogen with the oxygen to produce H2O and energy. This energy of combustion can be directly converted to electrical energy, because the only byproduct formed here is water. This is a cleaner fuel. Dihydrogen is a cleaner fuel, less polluting. Moreover, dihydrogen, the fuel cells are more efficient than our traditional petroleum products.